Good morning. And today is day 3 of the 30-day speaking to camera challenge. Today we were tasked with basically shaking it out like Taylor Swift prior to filming the video, just as an alternative to the exercise that we did yesterday, which feels like it's put me in a great state. So we will wait and see. I also flipped my camera around today, so we'll see how that works in terms of the eye contact. Hopefully it's definite improvement. Today, what I think I would like to cover is something about my time in Hong Kong. I was there between 2019 and 2020. So basically at the point of the transition, which was very interesting. Coming from South Africa, I think it was one of those that was basically made it feel like it was very much like home, just in terms of that transition, almost that civil war type state, that's a little bit of unrest, unease. I think coming from here, it is one that is something we're very used to on a daily basis, constantly having to be that much more alert. Obviously, I think as a foreigner or Westerner, it was not something where we were ever at risk over that side, despite being in close proximity to it all. But obviously was something that was quite an eye-opener, and obviously seeing that transition from one state to another, almost going through what felt like a revolution at the time. Very passionate protests, I suppose, is one way of putting it. But I'd just like to cover some of the more interesting parts of my time in Hong Kong, and then we can kind of take it from there and maybe come back and dabble with the whole unrest parts at a later point. So I moved over there, when was it, about February of 2019. Was my first real move abroad. I had spent some time over in India for about a month before, but I think that was about the extent of my time living abroad. So it definitely was quite a uncomfortable moment of thrusting yourself into the deep end. Hong Kong itself is a fantastic place, very cosmopolitan, very diverse. So I went over there to actually become a teacher. I was a bit tired of all the politics in South Africa in terms of the workplace. At the time, I think I was obviously a little bit younger and decided it was better to shift abroad and see what the rest of the world had to offer. When I think of Hong Kong, I obviously think of somewhere being exceptionally safe. I think being able to walk down dark alleys in the middle of the night. There were occasions I dropped my wallet on the bus and literally had someone get out the bus, miss their stop, basically have to fork out an additional mile to get back on the bus later, and then basically hand it to me. Just like, you dropped this, like you can't leave it behind. So it was always that feeling of people looking out for one another, and your property was kind of sacred in a way. It was not one way where anyone would ever go and think, okay, well, you have something I want, thus I can take it, which seems to be very much a thought here in South Africa. Obviously not everyone, but it is one of those where there is a bit of more of an attitude of entitlement and I suppose a feeling of, if someone has a lot, they obviously did wrong to others in order to obtain it, or something else of the sort. Which I'm really digressing there. In terms of Hong Kong, I think the thing I miss the most is the food. I think just the food culture that side is just phenomenal. To me, I lived in Mongkok, which is basically like the old Hong Kong, which to me is just magnificent, walking through those alleys and street markets and wet markets and the likes, and it just feels as though you're cast into another world entirely, which I think is quite beautiful coming from, well, I suppose in South Africa we do have similar aspects. It's just somehow different, and everyone just uses the Western markets. But just the history and richness. To me, I just think the food. I think I have a deep fascination with Asian cuisine as a whole. Just being able to walk down and have the best Vietnamese food, the best Japanese food, the best Thai food, all within 500 meters of you at any time, basically, was really, really, really phenomenal. So that side of it was definitely one. I think the public transport was just next level. I really do miss that. In South Africa, for the middle class, effectively, public transport's not a thing. So yeah, it's hard to be without it. I think there is, yeah, obviously here everyone has their own cars. It's just that's what you need, which obviously does increase your general cost of living somewhat. But also just that reliance of being able to just jump on a bus or jump on the underground or whatever else, and actually get to your destination safely, and being able to just read or do something else or sleep while being en route, I think was fantastic. I think the general sites, temples, monasteries, um, monuments, looking at the walled city of Kowloon, which later became the gardens, and just that rich history there. Obviously, there's a lot that's quite tumultuous in terms of a lot of those. But at the same time, I think it's just, I don't know, anywhere that has that richness of history and existence that sort of stems back, where there's almost a pride and um, I suppose just heritage is always quite beautiful. Obviously, we do have that here. It's just not in such close proximity to one another. Obviously, that side, I think we lived in high-rise apartments. Like that was just what it was. So I think my building was probably one of the shorter ones at like 40 stories. Um, I think my girlfriend was about 120 stories up, in hers. So beautiful views, obviously. Sometimes you are just looking into your neighbor's house, which are obviously less beautiful, but at the same time, maybe as intriguing in another way. So amazing. I think that the hiking as a whole is fantastic. I think just the close proximity of hikes, obviously Hong Kong is itself, I think has basically 40% of the land put aside for um, reserves, effectively, which no one can build on, which obviously inflates the housing price quite substantially. But at the same time, it does make for remarkable hikes. I think just being able to just jump on a train, go somewhere, and basically start hiking within 5 to 10 minutes, effectively, is something that is quite special. It's not something that you get many other places. I think to me, it reminded me a lot of Cape Town, where I'm from, just because yeah, we have Table Mountain and various other peaks surrounding here, from Lion's Head and the likes, and just being able to go and climb it and then look down on the city with the oceans around, and yeah, just be amazed, I suppose, is something that's quite special. I think the proximity to other countries as well was fantastic. That is just definitely another part that I miss hugely. In South Africa, we obviously have the neighboring African countries, but for the most part, we're looking at doing something Asia, Europe, Americas, with anywhere else where we would generally probably choose to go more. We're kind of looking at a 10-hour flight, whereas Hong Kong, I remember spending some time basically hopping over to Thailand for the weekend, and just having a ball for 2 or 3 days before coming back and getting back into the general work life, which was very special. So definitely something I miss. I think again in Europe, you have a lot of those benefits, just with obviously the close proximity of dozens of other countries with rich heritage as well, which I think is definitely special. Definitely part of the reason we might potentially look at moving there one day. But yeah, obviously we'll wait and see. But I think that's going to be it for today. So yeah, if you did watch till the end, thanks for watching. And yeah, I hope to see you around.